Welcome to the Linguistic Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
Welcome back to the Linguistic Show, everybody. I'm Karal, and I'm here with...
Who are you here with?
Would that be Jason?
I think so. Last time I checked, my driver's license still says that.
Yeah. And so we are back with the next stop on this love language tour that we started about 2 weeks ago.
Speaking of driver's licenses, yes, the next stop on the tour is what?
Is receiving gifts.
Okay.
So we had talked about the percentages of acts of service last week, and so now we're on gifts. So mine was 13%.
Mine was 17%.
Okay. So
what does that actually mean? Everyone asks again because you only tuned into this episode and didn't listen to the last few. So there are 5 love languages. In summation, there are 5 love languages. Not whatever you think they are. They are acts of service, receiving gifts, words of affirmation,
physical touch, and quality time.
Okay, and so what was Carol talking about? What, a 13%? What does that mean? Well, we took the 5 love languages test on Dr. Chapman's website. Who's Dr. Chapman?
So he is actually the creator and founder of the 5 love languages, and so there have been various variations by people after him, but he is deemed as the guru of the 5 love languages.
Best-selling author with multiple books, different versions of the 5 love languages, for relationships, for parenting, for kids, for friendships, all of that. So this stuff is based on research. It's not just some guy who just decided, I like 5, so I'm gonna just go with 5. No, it's really based on research, active research, and psychological research and emotional research, emotional development research. So receiving gifts. You don't want to mistake this love language for materialism, as the receiver of the gifts thrive on the love, thoughtfulness, and effort behind the gift. If you speak this love language, the perfect gift or gesture shows that you are known, you are cared for, and you are prized above whatever was sacrificed to bring the gift to you. A missed birthday, anniversary, or hasty, thoughtless gift would be disastrous. So would be the absence of everyday gestures. Gifts are a visual representation of love and are treasured greatly by people who live that love language. And I feel like sometimes it can definitely be misconstrued as materialism. It can definitely be misconstrued as, being greedy or something along those lines. But I definitely understand the premise behind receiving gifts as a love language, because I'm one of these people who go out of their way to be extremely thoughtful with my gift giving. This has been a funny source of contention in our relationship over years. It's actually
I don't like gifts that much.
So
that
again,
much is the key.
Because this is one of those things that you have to understand who your partner is, because if your partner does not like receiving gifts that much, doesn't like a big deal being made about them, understand that they're not going to make a big deal about you. That it's not something that they understand. They're not used to giving great, elaborate, thoughtful gifts, because at the end of the day, they don't want a great, elaborate, thoughtful gift. And so that's why the studying of the love languages is important. It's not just understanding how the receiver takes it. It's also understanding how to be a giver of said love language, if that's what your partner, exhibits as important to them. From my perspective, looking at my scoring, you wouldn't think that receiving gifts is big on my love language scale, and it's honestly not. My thing in particular is more of the thoughtfulness and meaningfulness and the effort put in behind the gift. I understand that completely. I've never been one of those people that's like, oh, nah, you gotta buy me something expensive, or you're a weak gift giver.
And I have to agree with you, because I let me actually let everyone know what you were reading from was actually from the website.
Girl, I was just freestyling. I wasn't reading. No, I'm lying. I was reading it. I was reading it straight from the website. It did sound really intelligent, like I had a lot going on just now. But nah, yes, I was kind of taking some clip notes off the website.
Yeah, so I do agree with you, baby. You know that I do like to receive gifts, but it's more so about the meaning behind the gift and being thoughtful about it. And so I, for one, had many issues. I don't know how many years it was during our marriage that I would buy you things that I know that you needed, but not really what you wanted. So I was thinking more of a pragmatic. I know that they said that he needs some new sweaters, for example, but it was those years ago. So let me months later, for Christmas or for some other, well, I guess Father's Day you can buy a sweater too, but I'm thinking about Christmas gifts. But let me months later, buy you a sweater or two, because you told me months ago that you like more sweaters. And so I was a horrible gift giver, and I know it, and you would feel like I wasn't being thoughtful for what you wanted or needed.
Well, I mean, like, to a certain extent, it can be misconstrued, though. And so I remember conversations where it would seem like I was ungrateful, or that I was materialistic or something along those lines. That would be how it would be construed. And it's like, no, I'm not materialistic. I'm not ungrateful. It's just like, like if I could tell you specifically what I'm into, but then you choose not to go down that route, that feels like you're not being thoughtful. And I know that in our relationship, that happened in the beginning of our relationship, and we both got better about that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I have a lot of friends who talk about this kind of stuff often, where some of them do have significant others who are all about their hobbies and their passions, and go out of their way to learn about their hobbies and passions and try to live that with them. You know what I mean? It's no secret that me and my friends are like sneaker collectors and stuff like that. So a couple of my friends have had significant others over the years who went out of their way to immerse themselves in sneaker culture and learn about the different shoes and what was cool fashion-wise and what wasn't, and why things were valuable and why they weren't, and would, go out of their way to do that sort of thing. And I've had friends who did, who had significant others who did the same thing with cars, for example. Like, a lot of folks, like, if you're not a mechanic and you're not mechanically inclined, you don't give a what about how that car works. You just want it to work when you put your key in it. And I have one of my friends in particular, his wife like really studied the car culture to kind of be able to engage in the stuff that her husband was into. And so when you start looking from that perspective, it's like, the gift giving part of it, I really feel like the thoughtfulness and the effort behind the gift is why this could be considered a love language. Because to a certain extent, I mean, just think about it. My love language is receiving things from you. Like, it feels whack on the surface, right?
It does feel whack, like when you hear it. But as we both already know and feel ourselves, know that it's about being thoughtful. And so, when, in my opinion, when people give gifts without thought, I mean, like any thought, that shows, of course, that they're not thinking of their partner. And so, like, when I would do things for you, it wasn't that I was not thinking of you. It was thinking of like what you need versus what you want. And so you did get better. You have gotten better these last several years of telling me exactly like 3 or 4 or however many things that you would want, and that way I can pick something directly from what you want. Like,
oh my gosh!
Like it's a Santa's wish list, which sounds so. Which to me, I thought originally sounded so elementary, but as I got used to you doing that, that really helped me to hone in on how to be a better gift giver for you. I didn't realize it until we did our so love language quiz / test that receiving gifts was not that high on your scale. If I was taking out the quality time, I would have really thought that would have been maybe number 3 or maybe even number 2 because of various things we've talked about in the past. Something I've seen that may apply to men as well is that sometimes people will just give a gift just to maybe make someone be quiet or be like, oh yeah, look at me, I got you this big old flashy XYZ thing, when knowing that your partner doesn't even really value things. And so I honestly think it's deeper than just a love language. It's about knowing who your partner is and the importance of communicating with your partner. And so I had that problem that I was afraid to hurt your feelings by saying that I didn't want this, I didn't want that. But when I didn't even use those things, and obviously actions speak louder than words, that's a common phrase. When people are giving these grand gestures as gifts, do you think it's more so for the person who was giving opposed to the person who's receiving it?
So that's where, again, you have to study your partner and understand that if your partner's into whatever the grand gift gesture may be, then the person is doing it for their partner. But if their partner's not into it and you're giving grand gestures, then you're actually doing it for yourself to a certain extent. Well, I don't know that you're doing it for yourself. You might just be misguided, though. A lot of it is a communication thing, and a lot that is an issue with a lot of relationships. People don't really tell each other how they feel because they're scared to hurt each other's feelings.
Ding, 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 that was me.
And so it's not just about receiving things that you didn't want or weren't going to use, because the truth of the matter is I'm hella thoughtful, and I be finding things that are specific to, and I've always been a good gift giver though. So
okay,
I've always it's mainly because of being an empath. It's just I put myself in other people's shoes often. I feel their emotions, and I'm able to kind of sense what people like, what they don't like, what they're into, what they're not. And so I know I'm a good gift giver because
you are better than me, but it's not like you haven't had to take cues and learn from things that maybe in the past I didn't want or use or need. And so I do admit, yes, you do give things that I can benefit from. But going back, I don't even like gifts that much. And when I do, I like things that are more of a heartfelt, thoughtful, that really, really goes into deep, wow, Karal would get an amazing reaction if I or the kids did XYZ. So it's not always about something that is material that I can touch. Gifts can be something that is not tangible as well.
Remember this, guys, when her birthday comes up, when Mother's Day comes up, when our anniversary comes up, and when Christmas comes up. Remember this. Remember this quote.
Because
remember this quote, people. She doesn't like gifts. Remember this, and understand that if I do come home empty-handed, I will need somewhere to stay.
I just like things that are really thoughtful, and so I've noticed a pattern in me that I've realized over the last couple of years is that I really care about giving people gifts that are sentimental and heartfelt. On a related note, I still send people in the mail birthday cards, and I'm in my 40s. I still send them thinking of you kind of card, and they're like, oh, you sent me a card? I'm like, yeah, because I'm thinking of you, and I'll write you a heartfelt note in said card to give encouragement or support. And so I'm thinking that maybe those were the wrong kinds of things to be doing. I heard your.
Well, it's again, it's understand.
They may not even value that I spent my time writing you this note of encouragement because you're going through a rough time, and you're like, you sent me a card, and I'm like, yeah, to encourage and support you.
And that's where knowing your friends, knowing your friends, knowing your partners, and knowing what's important to them matters. You can't just go into situations thinking you know everything. You gotta, know your partner, know your friends, know your kids, whatever the case may be, and then you'd know whether or not, they want heartfelt notes. Maybe they don't want heartfelt notes. Maybe they want, maybe they need a bottle of wine and not a heartfelt note. Maybe they need
I'm such a bad friend. Oh
maybe
my
no,
gosh.
you're not. Cut it out.
Because I mail them gifts, and I drop off gifts on their porch.
No, that doesn't make you a bad friend. That makes you thoughtful. You at least thought of them. And so the next step of thinking of them is thinking of what they like and what they're into, not just thinking of them existing. And whatever situation they have going on exists, and you want them to feel better about their situation. It's not just about, knowing that your friend has a bad day. It's about understanding who your friend is, and knowing that maybe they don't want letters of encouragement. Maybe they want to turn the fuck up and not worry about it anymore. Some people are like that. Some people aren't. Some people do want.
Need encouragement later.
Maybe, but again, everybody receives. I mean, this is kind of the whole point of this whole exercise, is that we want people to know that everyone's different, and just because one person looks at a situation one way doesn't mean the next person does. And that's so important in a relationship, a friendship, anything, is that you have to understand that your significant other, your homeboy, your homegirl, your kids, your mom, whatever, even though y'all know each other and y'all love each other and you know everything about each other, that doesn't mean you're the same person. And so, just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for them. You might want letters of encouragement and thoughtful, things like that.
That would be amazing if someone thought of me that way, but they don't.
Well, come on. First of all, it's like in 2023, no one is really writing a personal letter.
Me?
I'd feel like you're more likely to get an email. You're gonna get an email. You're gonna get an email. Just check your inbox. Just go to your Outlook and check your inbox, and someone will send you a letter of encouragement through email, as opposed to the actual U.S. Postal Service.
Using a stamp.
Oh my God! But I don't even stamps. Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to go from there with stamps. We're so old school out here. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's about knowing your other person. And so if receiving gifts is your love language, one of the things that I think is important for you to do early on is establish that. Now, there's a way to do that without looking like a greedy, money-grubbing, materialistic asshole. Like, don't be that person. But you can still, put that out there that, you really appreciate the effort. It's a lot of times it's about words. So let's say my wife bought me a crazy, rare, expensive pair of Jordans that I really like, right? So if she bought them from like Foot Locker and just so happened to be in the mall and got them, that's thoughtful because I like sneakers. Okay, but what's the effort behind it? You just saw it in the mall and you just said, oh yeah, I saw it, so I got it. Now, something that would not be thoughtful but would be a ton of effort is if you went and drove to some store in a different state to buy a pair of sneakers that somebody told you was rare, but you didn't even ask me and it's not something I would wear. Then if you were being thoughtful and putting in effort, it's knowing that asking my friends. Now, this is all hypothetical. This is not real.
These
but
I don't. Hold on, because
it's hypothetical, but it's specific.
Yeah, because these things have slightly happened because you are now changing the names and places of those activities. For example,
I am not. I was using a hypothetical because of what I know about and what I'm used to, which is sneakers and cars. So if you don't want to talk about sneakers, we can talk about car parts. But I was talking about sneakers because it's an easy thing that a lot of people know about, especially given the whole rise in sneakerhead culture over the last few years, which me and my friends are going to talk about it on an episode coming up sometime soon, about how we used to be the weirdos for loving sneakers and wearing shit from the 90s and the early 2000s, and now every little dude with his mommy's credit card number is a sneakerhead and flipping Jordans, and it just killed the culture. But that's another episode for another day. What I was saying is, if it was thoughtful and there was effort behind it, it was like knowing that this specific model of Jordan is my favorite model of Jordan, right? And then also knowing by looking in my closet at my shoes, oh, he doesn't have this color of this one, or maybe he had them years ago and they're dogged out and fell apart. So you go online and you find a reseller shop that may happen to have that
this
specific
sounds like
shoe.
you were giving me some really good guidance.
No, I mean, I'm saying it.
Guidance on what to do for you.
I might be, but what I'm saying, no, I mean, you're flipping that, and I understand why you're doing that, and that's okay because I'm not insecure. I understand what you're doing, but the point is, by flipping it and making it into something that it's not. What I was using stuff that's relative to me to explain the point of being thoughtful and putting in effort.
I understand
it's not about me telling you what you need to do, Carol.
Okay, well, obviously I'm reading too much into what you're saying because this sounds like a real life thing that I could be taking heed of and taking note of.
I mean, it could be, but what I'm saying, I mean, it could be, but what I'm saying is I'm just using this as an example. I just wanted to use it as an example, and it was something that I was comfortable with, knowing that it's part of my my personality that I could speak towards. That's all that was. Stop taking everything all personal over here. The point is that it's thoughtful and a lot of effort. It's thoughtful and a lot of effort, and that's what the gift giver love language, the gift receiver love language is really looking for. They're not looking for you to spend a shit ton of money. They're looking for it to be.
Some people are, though.
No, but that's because
they're materialistic.
They're materialistic. They're not. That's not their love language. Is receiving gifts is not their love language. That's someone who's materialistic and has decided that receiving gifts is the way that you keep me around. So
that is different.
That's a subject. That's a subject.
That is different.
That's a whole nother subject, and something in particular that men and women gotta figure out, because there's a whole generation of women that literally live the lifestyle of, if you can't buy me what I want when I want it, you're nothing.
Juices bounce.
You're nothing. If you can't give me what I want when I want it, when I say so, you're nobody. And there's a whole, and I know this for a fact, even though I've been married for a long time, I got a lot of friends who aren't, and I listen to their stories all the time and just be shaking my head like, damn bro, should have just not been single in the 2020s, in the mid 2010s, 2020s, because this dating pool is weird. There's pee in the dating pool. It's weird.
My gosh. Okay.
It's gross. It's the worst. And so, like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's just like, it's not necessarily about, for some people, it's not necessarily about getting an expensive gift. It's about the thoughtfulness and the effort. I understand how that could be construed as spending a lot of money, but I would think it's more impressive to make the effort to do something. So, like, let's say you have a favorite artist, and your favorite artist has a concert that's going to be relatively close to where you're from, but not in your hometown or whatever, right? Do you make the effort to drive out to whatever venue to go get tickets for your significant other because you can't order them online? Like, that's doing it. If your partner's love language is gift receiving, that's how you do a thoughtful and show effort to your gift to make them feel loved, is to go out of your way to do something that shows that, yeah, not only was I thinking about you, but I made great strides to make sure that you enjoyed this. I feel like that's a bigger deal than going and buying the most expensive thing you can afford for somebody, because if that gift don't hit, you just wasted a lot of money, and
it'll be sitting there.
And it'll be sitting there.
Or it will be used, but just not with, I guess, the same intention. But with us for this past Christmas, you've known for, well, I was home for COVID for like a year or 2 years, so I didn't really have to use a work bag. But my good old work bag, for example, it's still hanging on, but
by a thread.
No, that joy is not raggedy. That had a lot of style, and it was a great design on the front.
Nobody said anything about
you. You're saying hanging on by a thread.
No, why are you getting offended about your work bag?
Because okay, true, it did have threads that were getting a little.
It wasn't hanging on by a thread. It was hanging on by several stitches.
Yes, thank you. That's better, because it was
staples and some.
There were no.
Clips.
Stop. Now you're exaggerating. But the point is that my work bag that I had for several years, that I would use a lot, I didn't really use because I was home for 2 years because of the whole COVID.
Guess who has to go to the office again now sometimes?
Yes, I started going back to the office in April of 2022. That was hard, but that's a whole other issue. But like with the work bag, you didn't just give me one, you got me two. And so I was really surprised, and I felt really, really good inside knowing that, number one, I have options. I could have either red or black. And number two, like you thought enough to get me something that's going to be even more durable, and it's an actual laptop bag opposed to a really, really large tote bag that was turned into my work bag. That's just one example, but
there was another example from this. Speaking of thoughtful gifts around Christmas time,
because that was a very helpful choice of actual laptop.
Oh yeah, and you want to know how deep? You want to know how deep the thoughtfulness goes on that? Is that myself and our oldest daughter spent 3 different trips and a bunch of time online searching for work bags for you.
And I do appreciate the effort.
Like, me and her literally went on 3 separate trips. We went to Macy's, we went to Target, we went to Burlington, I went to DSW while she went in another store.
Like,
we were legitimately hunting for work bags.
Because mom needs an actual work bag that's not an oversized big old purse.
But what I found out during this adventure, though, is that, actual laptop bags aren't things that you could just find in normal stores, which I would have thought you could, but it's weird. You can really only kind of find them in Staples. Or like Target had them, but they had like backpacks. And I know, like, you don't want a backpack. You wanted like a cute purse that is a laptop bag. So, in addition to making sure that I got the laptop bag shit straight for Christmas, because that was major, I did go out of my way to purchase something else, because if anybody knows us, we've been married for a long time. We've been married since 2004. The summer of 2004. We're going on 19 years, right? One of the wedding gifts that we received going on 19 years ago.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
No, I know you laugh because you can laugh.
It's so close.
Somebody decided to bless us with a blender/food processor, and yes, we use said blender/food processor. This family likes smoothies. We like smoothies a lot in this family. Between my wife and my middle child, who both really, really like smoothies, we use the blender a lot. So first of all, let's just rewind to the fact that this is an 18-year-old appliance. Okay? 18-year-old appliance.
But that joint is still kicking, minus the one issue that happened in 2021 that I was able to go on Amazon and fix.
First of all, no, the blender was broken. You had to order a piece from an 18-year-old blender to make your blender work. So when you had to order a piece from an 18-year-old blender to make your blender work, I decided that I would be thoughtful and put in the effort and go find the BlendJet, which is a really cool, self-contained blender that you can bring on the go. It's battery powered. You charge it with your USB, so you can charge it in the car.
I have no reason to have it still in the box on the counter.
So, to your point, yes, there are times when people can give gifts that aren't thoughtful and aren't useful. But there are also times where if receiving gifts is not your love language, then you don't even understand when somebody did something that's actually useful and thoughtful in multiple ways. It's not just, I got you a blender. It's not just that I got you a portable blender. It's not just that I got an easy-to-use portable blender that you can plug in at your desk. It's not just that I got you a portable, easy-to-use plug-in blender that happens to be purple.
I don't know it's purple.
You didn't even look at the box. She didn't even look at the box. It's purple.
The box, I know it's purple. I meant the actual device.
Yes, the device is purple. Every box is a different color because it denotes the color of the device inside the box. I know you didn't know. The point is that your husband is a very thoughtful gift giver, because even though receiving gifts isn't high on my psychological percentage like we thought it might be,
right,
giving gifts is very high on my level, because I've always been the type of person that believed that just spending money indiscriminately is dumb. Like, You just buying your girl jewelry if she doesn't like jewelry is dumb. You buying your man certain clothes if he doesn't like those clothes is dumb.
Okay, let me interject, because it was not inherent and apparent to us both early on in our marriage that we didn't want those things.
Well,
because you would buy me jewelry and I would buy you clothes that I thought you would look nice and that you maybe said that you would want, like, in passing, but in reality it wasn't what you wanted or what I wanted. We have grown.
That's where communication is important. Got to be able to communicate with your partner to know what they actually into and what they're not. You can't just make assumptions that, because I like a certain thing, I'm going to just treat them that way. And that's kind of where a lot of this comes into play, and why we thought it was important to talk about love languages in particular, because it's not just about the love language that you receive and what makes you feel good. It's about what you put out there. And by understanding the different love languages, and by understanding that your partner may feel a certain way about certain things versus other things. I mean, I had to learn, Carol, early on, because I'm a man in the 90s and the 2000s. I'm of the impression I gotta ball out every opportunity. I gotta ball out. I gotta buy Carol expensive stuff. Like, that was my thought process when I was young.
And you're right.
And I didn't realize until I was much older, after communication, that she doesn't necessarily care for those type of things. Yes, it impresses her friends, but she doesn't care about those type of things. She wants me to go do something for her. She wants me to go fix her car. She wants me to fix something in the house. She wants me to run the errands so she doesn't have to. That's what matters.
Acts of service, though.
Acts of service is what actually matters to you.
You're right.
And that's what I had to learn. Within 5 years of us being married, I'd learned that, and I stopped buying stupid, pointless, expensive gifts 5 years into our marriage, and started actually trying to have targeted gifts.
And I appreciate that, because I know that on TV and movies that there is this whole stereotype that women are going to want all the diamonds and the jewels and
we know how look Valentine's Day. We look at Valentine's Day ads. All you see is women with diamonds and rubies and emeralds and all that jewelry and all that stuff. But what do guys get? A tie. Or we get the same kitty cat that we already had. That's what guys get. That's what guys get for Valentine's Day. That's another episode for another day as well.
Let's make it okay, because I think I told you this last year. It maybe you thought that I wasn't serious, but let's not do Valentine's gifts starting next year, because it's kind of too late for this year.
I'm clearly not.
Valentine's Day, it was yesterday.
What did we start
next year?
What did we start this episode off with? With a disclaimer that if y'all heard what this woman said,
I said next year.
All of y'all heard what this woman said, and I started with a disclaimer. If I come home empty-handed, y'all all need to be able to let me live in your house, because I'm no better than to come home empty-handed. She could say she don't want a gift till she's blue in the face. I got to at least bring home flowers and a card and some of them Lindor truffles.
I finally have embraced flowers as of a couple of years ago, because I, as you know, don't know how to manage plants.
Oh, shit! That's hilarious. I don't know how to manage plants.
I don't. I mean, I've gotten better.
She has a brown thumb. No green thumb over here. She has a brown thumb. She just be killing the plants.
Okay, anyhow.
Just be getting dried out, dying.
We talked about me not always wanting to get flowers early on in our marriage. We talked about how there are some women like me who are not totally always wanting jewels and that kind of stuff. They're nice and lovely, and I do like them and I wear them, but I don't always need that to feel like my partner, i.e. Jason Bush, loves me. And with this daggone blender, you already know from my childhood why I hold on to certain things, because the phrase does not apply in this case. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But your
blender was broke when I came up with the idea, though.
But it was already fixed, though, because
when I bought it.
I fixed it. Oh, you mean the second time that it was too loose?
Not when I bought.
I fixed it again, though.
I understand that. I understand and appreciate that. But when your blender went down for the second time was when I went out and bought you a blender.
Well, I appreciate it.
And I had that joint sitting in my trunk for like months getting ready for Christmas. But I knew that I had a purple blender for Miss Purple Passion over here.
Oh, you remember that from college? Okay, so we have clearly gone on way too much about this whole blender.
Well,
that is almost 19 years old. But you were saying during the break, I'll say, knew that at this point it was already probably on the shelves for longer anyway. So
we're talking about a 20-year-old
that
blender.
joint's old.
We're talking about a 20-year-old blender.
It still works.
But the point is guys and gals, when it comes to giving gifts, make sure that you communicate with your partner what they like to receive. Now, we were originally talking about this from the love language perspective, but obviously people in relationship give and receive gifts, whether or not that's their love language or not.
Right, that's
normal.
You know
what I mean? Like, again, I keep joking about this, but I know 100% not to show up empty-handed. Come on. My wife can say till she's blue in the face, and that'll be a challenge. But she can say it till she's because you don't never run out of words to say. So you never gonna be blue in the face. You just gonna keep talking, and then I'm just gonna keep sitting here listening. Like, oh well, she's gonna keep saying it. She's not gonna get blue in the face. She's just gonna keep saying it. She will keep telling me, oh, I don't want anything. I just want to spend time with my family.
I've been saying that since our first kid's first Christmas. I don't want any gifts.
Okay, but guess what? If I don't come with something,
but I don't want. That's different.
If I don't come with something, I'm in trouble.
Okay,
you can say that now, but has the situation arose where I did come home empty-handed?
Actually, for a birthday that did, and you're right, I was so upset.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. So I do acknowledge that I do want something.
Oh! Oh!
Let's wrap this up.
Oh, you do want something, right? So, like, again, like, bro, fellas, I love y'all. I root for y'all. Don't come home empty-handed.
I root for y'all too.
Don't come home empty-handed. I don't care what she says. Come with something.
That is thoughtful and meaningful.
Yes, that is thoughtful and meaningful and shows effort. Don't go and get, like, especially this time of year, fellas, don't be that dude that pulls over on the side of the road and buy that teddy bear and them baskets that them youngins done made with all the stuff from Michael's, and they charging you $45 for a basket. Don't be that guy. Don't be thoughtless. Don't be the one who wakes up Valentine's morning and goes and buys a card and stuff that morning for later that day. Don't be thoughtless, but don't be empty-handed.
And so I appreciate all your insight.
Well, it's the gift that keeps giving.
Yes. Oh, that was clever. I like that.
Yeah. So, again, we kind of did get off track with this and laughed and joked about our gift giving, but really to just kind of wrap it all up and make sure that we really reinforce what actually is important. The two things about the receiving gifts love language that we really want to make sure that we reinforce and that everyone listening really understands. The first thing is to please make sure that if you are giving gifts to someone who is a receiving gifts love language, it's got to be thoughtful. It's got to be meaningful. There has to be some effort behind it. Those things are important. The second part is if you happen to be in a relationship with someone who is a receiving gifts love language speaker, or they're fluent in their gift receiving love language, so to speak, you can't be out here forgetting birthdays or anniversaries or doing things that are not thoughtful, because that person sees through that immediately, and what you thought you were doing the right thing, you made it worse. And so that's really what we want to reinforce with the receiving gifts love language, is that if you happen to be one of these type of people, maybe you've been called materialistic or you've been called different things over the years, and those characterizations of you might be true if you really do get down like that. However, there's a lot of people who don't really get down like that. They just want to feel special, and the way they feel special is if somebody does something thoughtful and puts in effort to get them something. And that being said, if you are that type of person, I think it's important for you to express to your partner that from the beginning. And let them know it's not about how expensive said gift is.
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts. It's about it being special. It's not about it being expensive. It's about it being special. It's about your person putting in an effort to see you smile. It's really not about how much money you spent on it.
Okay, love that.
Well, hey, I'm glad you do. I got bars, man. I got some stuff. I got some stuff for y'all out here, man. There's a lot going on in this big head of mine. Now that we've talked about giving gifts and we talked about the receiving gift love language and not being thoughtless and not being lazy and definitely not coming home empty-handed on Valentine's Day, fellas. Now that we've gone through that, we're going to shift gears and talk about Karal's favorite segment. What's that?
I think it's called wordplay.
You think so? No, I know it's Karal's favorite. I was being
sarcastic.
Well,
okay.
Clearly, that should be your word to the day, Eel. Sarcastic.
Oh, like you respond.
Word to the day, Eel.
Word of the day. Okay, so wordplay is when Jason and I both take a letter and we have to have the other person pick a word from that letter, and we have about 45 to 60 seconds that we don't track.
Thank you for that. Yes, put all the pressure on us like there really is a time limit, but we ain't no. Dang, that looks good.
I have pressure in my head. Limit. I have pressure in my head. Okay, so
I had to get up and use the bathroom.
Cut that out. That happened when I was in first grade. It's on videotape from Athalia. She recorded me and then sent it to
being under pressure and having to go use the bathroom.
Then she sent this old video to my mom. And I was like, where did you get this from? Athalia had this for decades. Oh she was sitting on that video for decades of me having to use the bathroom when I'm under pressure. So, what is your letter, honey?
I'm gonna be letter F. As in Frank.
I was going to say for football. Okay. Now you know that I can't speak and think at the same time as finding a letter, so I did this.
Oh my God.
We had established that last week, because you asked me why I wasn't talking because I couldn't focus. I don't know. Okay. Simple for you. Your word that you need to define and use in a sentence is forge.
Forge?
Yes, forge.
Forge. F-O-R-G-E, forge?
That is correct, honey.
Okay, so forge is like the thing that you build, you build stuff with. It could be a noun, it could be a verb. If you forge something, that's like building something specifically as it pertains to iron work or steel work, like you forge a sword, for example. Right. It could also be used as a noun to describe where metals are superheated and formed into different things, like a sword or something like that.
Yeah, that was so obviously easy.
And it could also mean that you're just going to move ahead. You're going to forge right ahead and do the thing.
Okay.
So yes, I know how to use that word. It's also the category. Well, excuse me, not the category. It's the how would you say, the option or the part of the Halo video game where you're allowed to build your level.
This is a long definition, man.
It's the forge. You build your own level in the Halo game.
Okay, what's your sentence?
I just used forge like 17 times in this sentence.
Okay, you're right.
I will forge ahead.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Figure out what's up real quick. It's probably. You shouldn't have gave me a basic word. You shouldn't have gave me a basic word like forge. And then I'm sorry, but people who know me know I'm a gamer, so of course I'm going to bring up the forge in Halo. And then I also watch History Channel, so I know about making swords.
Or
that show, what's it called? Forged in Fire is the name of the show, where they make swords and axes like old school blacksmiths did.
Or you can forge a signature, but
no, that's different.
Is it? F-O-R-G-E, baby. That's how you spell it. Okay, anyhow, I don't know how you thought it was spelled.
Really? I thought it was like, it can't be like forage, because that's when you're looking.
No,
for
I don't mean scavenging.
No, I know.
F-O-R.
Young, I'm having a major issue right now because I really did not think it was spelled the same, even though I know it's spelled the same. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was it's talking about hammering and about like when you are intimate. What's the word?
Intimidating? Intimating? Imitating?
Imitating is signature. That's what I said.
Like imitating, okay. Intimating, intimidating.
So my letter will be K for Karal.
K for Karal.
Yeah, you don't got any comeback because it will be a C word, not a K.
Because there's like K is like literally 2 pages of the dictionary.
So I should get a okay.
No, we're gonna do a K word. I just have to actually find K's. I'm still trying to find the K's because it's literally the section is IJK, and so I gotta actually find a K. I mean, basically. There we go. Okay, that's where the K's start. Okay. Bruh.
Either it's gonna be too hard or they're a word that I never heard of before, or too easy.
Your word is kibosh.
Okay, I've heard of kibosh, like put the kibosh on something. So is that what you are meaning?
Your word is kibosh. I'm not going to tell you what I'm meaning. Okay. You need to tell me what you're meaning. How are you going to change the rules to the game?
I'm asking for another pronunciation.
Girl, kibosh. K-I.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Kibosh.
I don't know what that means. Okay, so maybe it's... it's clearly a noun. Or is it a verb to kibosh something?
Why are you asking me like you don't know the rules of the game?
Because I can't see over your leg.
Because you're trying to look at the book. You're trying to... Are you literally admitting to cheating at your own game at wordplay on record? She's trying to look over my leg to see
if it's a noun or a verb.
Why?
Help me out.
No.
Okay, I can't phone a friend or get a lifeline either.
No.
Okay.
Just tell me what it means.
Something to do with like taking care of vegetables.
What the hell?
I don't know.
To take care of vegetables. This is where we need the buzzer. This is where we need our buzzer sounder. No, that's the other sounder we need for these recordings. We need to get that buzzer out of the...
Here's my sentence.
And that was easy.
Which is upstairs. Here's my sentence. She put the kibosh on that. Which is not the right pronunciation. Go ahead. What does it mean?
You didn't even use it in... The crazy thing is...
I don't know what it means.
You didn't even use it in context of a sentence with the meaning that you chose. Like, you said it meant something about vegetables.
Because it's the wrong meaning.
So you mean it's like Mrs. Dash? Like I put that shit on everything? Is that like what you meant? Like it's like Mrs. Dash? Like it's vegetables?
That's Frank's Red Hot.
Okay, well fine. The point is...
What does it mean?
Kibosh. You were already right the first time. You gotta believe in yourself. Something that serves as a check or a stop. You were right the first time. When you put the kibosh on something, you stop it.
Right.
You were right when you said it the first time, and you didn't believe yourself.
Because I always thought that it was pronounced kibosh. Therefore, it would be spelled K-A-B-A-S-H. Kibosh. That's why I was saying you put the kibosh on something. Okay, so now I know how to spell it.
Well, the point is you were right already. You had it. And then you second guessed yourself, and now you start talking about vegetables for some reason. I'm like, you just coming out.
So now I know how to spell it when I say it. So thanks everyone for joining us again today for the Linguistic Show, where we talked about gifts as one of the 5 love languages. So So be sure to check out old episodes on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as our website, which is linguisticshow.com. And tell a friend.
And if you got a smart speaker or a smart car, ask your car to play the Linguistic
Because
Show.
y'all, that joint works. So I did do that last week actually, and I was like, Angie, it's our podcast playing in the car.
So yeah, if you got a smart speaker or if you got a smart car, just say, hey, just play the Linguistic Show on Spotify or play the Linguistic Show, and it'll bring it up for you, and that's dope. So come check us out. So we're gonna have a bunch of new changes to the format of the show. If you want to see what we look like in person, guess what? We're gonna have some video episodes. We're gonna start putting our older episodes on different platforms. So in
like
case
YouTube.
So in case you've missed some of our stuff before, maybe you just you're not into all of the various podcasting and streaming apps out there. Everybody knows about YouTube, so that's something we're gonna be doing. We're going to be doing a couple live broadcasts sometime soon. We got a few guests lined up, so stay tuned for 2023. Linguistic Show is going live. If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
subscribe, and share to the Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.